Scientists just achieved what no one thought possible. They took the entire brain of a living fruit fly, every single neuron, every connection, every microscopic pathway, and uploaded it into a computer. The moment it woke up inside the simulation, something astonishing occurred. The virtual fly began to sense, react, and even move its tiny body in ways that mirrored a real fly's behavior. It was tasting, feeling, and responding almost as if the brain had truly come alive. Then came the moment that left everyone completely speechless. The digital fruit fly, with its newly uploaded brain, began behaving in ways no one had predicted. It explored its virtual environment, groomed itself, and responded to simulated stimuli. Actions so precise and lifelike that even the researchers who had spent years preparing for this moment were stunned. What this tiny digital creature did after its brain was uploaded not only amazed the scientists, but also opened a doorway to a future they had only dreamed of.
All right, Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachakodash. I want to give double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and grace and peace to you elect around the four winds, believing and pushing this truth in all sincerity. May the blessing of election be upon your houses. This is your fellow servant, Ruchaya from the GMS Orlando camp, coming at you with another impromptu lesson. And I was just scrolling the internet earlier today, and I came across this video that you've seen at the beginning of this lesson, which really is a perfect illustration on the agenda that the elites of Esau Edom are pushing by way of the RFID and Neuralink technology. All right, which essentially that agenda is to upload our consciousness and our spirits to a database, which will fulfill his God complex as spoken about in 2 Thessalonians, the 2nd chapter, which we'll get here in a little bit in a second. But I want to start here in Revelation chapter 13 and verse 14. Okay, because these are part of the deceitful miracles that Esau Edom is putting forth here in these latter days in order to deceive the people into receiving his mark. All right, which through the Spirit, we can see exactly how these people are being corralled on both sides to the slaughter. On one side, Esau Edom is pushing conveniency and accessibility through the RFID microchip. And on the other hand, he's pushing freedom, the freedom to create your own reality, the freedom to dictate your own reality, and the ability to cure lameness or blindness by way of the Neuralink. So through the Spirit, we can see exactly how these people are being corralled into receiving the mark of the beast. But let me get this too. In 2 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 11, it says, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. All right, and Satan can't get an advantage of us, of the household of faith, because we understand these so-called miracles for what they are, which is all deceit. It's all trickery, that is laid in place by the devil, by Esau Edom, in order to seduce people into receiving his mark. That's all this is, man. We're not ignorant of any of his devices. We see what's taking place for what it is. It's witchcraft, man. It's really trickery to get these people, to seduce these people into receiving the mark. But it says again, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. All right, we're not ignorant of these so-called miracles that he's putting forth as well. All right, because these so-called miracles really are another form of deception. It's another form of witchcraft, because it isn't coming from Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. It's coming from his own means, in the which that he thinks that he is a God, which the Heavenly Father, through his only begotten Son, is going to show him that he is but a man, and a base man at that. But this is Revelation 13 and 14. It says, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast. All right, which I want to get this word for deceiveth. Let's see what it says. In Strong's G 4105. Planahu. It says to go astray, to deceive, to err, to seduce, to wander out of the way. It says to go astray, to roam about, to lead away from the truth, to lead into error, to deceive. It says to sever or fall away from the truth. It says to cause to go astray, to seduce. All right, and that's exactly what Edom is doing. He's seducing the people by way of these false miracles. All right, because people will see this and be like, oh man, this is beautiful. This is beautiful. I could finally escape this mundane reality. You know, I can finally go somewhere where I'm accepted. I can finally create my own world wherein I can be a God, wherein I can be accepted. And my ways will be the law. You know, people see this type of shit and they think all manner of folly, just like the so-called white man, because Edom is viewing this thing as his way out of control, being controlled by the Heavenly Father. Because if he's able to upload his consciousness to a database, the Heavenly Father can't touch him there. He doesn't have to atone for his sins in the Internet of Things. That's his mindset, you know, which is trickling down into these people. Because when they see that type of shit, you know, they're wooed. You know, they're put in a state of awe. You know, and they really start to regard the so-called white man as a god, you know, because they see him, you know, possessing the capability, you know, to transcend reality in a sense, which he's really not, you know. But people see this and then like, oh my God, this is crazy. Jinkies, you know. But they're really being deceived and seduced. You know, there was a couple of videos put out a couple of years back, you know, dealing with the experiments that Elon Musk was undergoing regarding the Neuralink when it came to healing lameness, you know, those who can't walk or have no function of their, you know, extremities. And to an extent, you know, the Lord allowed them to come up with a technology to stimulate certain brain functions that would help people to move their limbs for the first time or hear for the first time. And that's another part of those deceitful miracles, because people aren't seeking to the Lord for these things. They're seeking to Esau. You know, and Esau is really marketing with that digital ooh, man. I also want to get this word for miracle actually too. In Revelation 13. Which in Strong's G 4592. Semion. It says an indication, especially ceremonially or supernaturally, a miracle, a sign, a token, a wonder. It says a sign, a mark. All right, this miracle goes into the mark. Okay, it says a token, that which a person or thing is distinguished from others and is known. A sign, a prodigy, a portent, an unusual occurrence, transcending the common course of nature. Ooh. And that's exactly what it is. These miracles are. All right, they're transcending or seemingly transcending the common course of nature. Because now, as you are able to upload your conscience to a database, now you can circumvent the common courses of nature. You know, you can circumvent illness. misfortune, death. All right, you can circumvent the common course of nature as seemingly, once again, seemingly. But ultimately, we understand that this won't work. And the only reason why it's worked up until this point is because the Lord is playing tricks on the so-called white man. He has him in a trick bag. He's going to allow him to fulfill, to fill his belly to a certain point, until the Lord causes him to vomit everything he's accumulated up violently. It says, of signs portending remarkable events soon to happen. It says miracles and wonders by which the Heavenly Father are taking men, which you're not, that's not it. All right, but one of those definitions is going into an unusual occurrence transcending the common course of nature. All right, Esau is trying to go about that through his technology, because conventional miracles or true miracles are done through Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, that transcend the common course of nature. For example, when Elijah, the Lord allowed Elijah to call down fire from heaven, that was a transcending from the common course of nature. Or when the Lord held the sun up for 24 hours, all right, that was a transcending from the common course of nature. We have many other examples, that took place during the scriptures, but those are just a few, all right, of the Lord's miracles. But the Lord translating Habakkuk, sending an angel to transport him. That was a transcending of the common course of nature. That is a true miracle. The Lord opening the eyes of the blind and the ears, to see and to hear, these miracles. In this truth, Salakia, that is a true miracle. The restoration of the nation of Israel is a true miracle. And this knowledge, but these people are being beguiled by these deceitful miracles that are coming from Esau, Edom. And ultimately all of this is to fulfill his God complex. We'll get this in 2 Thessalonians, and then we'll close it out. This is 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. And we'll start at verse 3. It says, let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except the man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. All right. And, excuse me. And that man of sin, the son of perdition, has been revealed to be none other than Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, chiefly the elites of Esau, Edom. All right, your Oppenheimers, your DuPonts, your Gettys, your Bilderbergs, those who control and mismanage the resources. All right, they have been exposed to be the men of sin, the son of perdition. All right, and with that exposure is coming the downfall of their kingdom. All right, because like it says, that day shall not come, the day of the Lord, speaking about, unless there come a falling away, which happened to us in 70 AD. Chiefly in 70 AD, we were been scattered before that. But a huge part of that diaspora came from 70 AD. The besieging that came from General Titus and Vespasian. And the man of sin being revealed in the son of perdition, is another sign that the Lord is closer than he's ever been. All right, they've been revealed. This is them. This is them. This is their agenda. This is how, and this is the ultimate form of sin. God damn it. That they're trying to promote. It says, who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. And in a web forum, I believe it was a couple of years ago, maybe 2 years ago, This devil, Noah Harari, mentioned the term Homo Deus, which goes into human gods. And he was going into that whole spiel about how humans don't need the Heavenly Father for rain anymore. The humans don't need the Heavenly Father for basic necessities because they can create it themselves. And that goes to show you that this devil regards himself above the Heavenly Father. He's exalted himself above Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai. And it's tying right into the scriptures, man. It says, who opposes and exalt himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. Remember ye not that when I was with you, yet with you I told you these things. And I'm going to jump down to verse 8. Verse 7 it says, for the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way. And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. All right, and this is exactly what's happening in our day and age. All right, the wicked are being consumed by the spirit of the Lord's mouth, which the mouthpiece of the Lord is his prophets, pursuant to Hosea 12:10. All right, the wicked is being consumed, and that's why they're moving faster and faster and faster to try to accomplish their enterprises, because they know that they have but a short time. They know it. They have a short time. So they're speeding this process up. And honestly, the water Yahweh Basham Yahushai, because the quicker they move, the quicker the Lord is going to move. Because like we just read, he's going to destroy him with the brightness of their coming, with the brightness of his coming. And just when they're about to fill their belly, the Lord is going to cast them down. And this is them filling up their belly, uploading your consciousness to a database, uploading your spirit to a database, having you tied into the Internet of Things, having you chipped up so that he's dictating your buying, your selling, which is basically that's a basic necessity of life. In order to live, you have to buy and sell. And on top of that, not only does he have power over that, now he also has power over your consciousness, putting him in the seat of the Heavenly Father and allowing him to circumvent his judgment for the wickedness that he's done on the planet Earth. But it's not going to work like that, man. Yahweh Basham Yahushai has a rude awakening coming to these devils, and it's only a matter of time until the Lord destroys this devil, man. But hey, we understand these things and we set a mark on them. We set a mark on these things so that the elect know what to watch for, what to watch out for, and how to move here in these latter days with circumspection. With that being said, Lord, when this is edifying unto you elect, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahushai Bahasham Rakak Wadash. I want to give the honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and grace and peace to you elect around the four winds, believing and pushing this truth in all sincerity. May the blessing of election be upon your houses. Shalom. Stay up.